teams, 2 leagues, separated by 1 bay and 1 bridge. The Giants, winners of 2 World Series in the last 4 years, have had a successful run, and they are a battle-tested team trying to stay alive in the National League West. The A's boast the best record in baseball and continue to roll along as they sit 22 games above 500 and have the postseason in their sights. 2 teams, 1 goal, and tonight they meet to kick off Game 1 of the Bay Bridge Series. Well, it is a big 4 days of baseball in the Bay Area. It's the Bay Bridge Series, it's the A's, it's the Giants, and the first 2 are right here at the O.K. Coliseum. Always fun. The San Francisco Giants, led by Buster Posey, they are a half game behind the Dodgers in the National League West. The Athletics rolling along. They have a 3.5 game lead in the AL West over the Angels. So it's the first game of the Bay Bridge Series. It's the Oakland A's, it's the San Francisco Giants, and it's all coming up right here on Comcast Sportsnet, California. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball, along with Ray Fossey. I'm Glenn Kuiper. What a weekend for the A's. You get a big trade, you get a sweep of the Blue Jays, and then it gets topped off by the A's getting 6 All-Stars for the All-Star game, and that is awesome.
And we were talking maybe 1, maybe 2. How about 6 and maybe a 7th because of Samardzija in the National League now with the Athletics. That's him to the right. But you look up and down that list there. Scott Kazmir with 3rd time. But first-time All-Stars, all the rest of those guys. I talked to Brandon Moss. He said, pinch me. I cannot believe I'm an All-Star. 3 organizations let him go. He's with the Athletics. Just one of a great story of 6 All-Stars representing the Athletics next week in Minneapolis.
All right, so let's get to tonight's game again. The first of 4 in this Bay Bridge Series. Yeah. Jesse Chavez against Ryan Vogelsong is your pitching matchup tonight.
Well, we know Jesse Chavez because he's in the rotation for the first time. Never faced the Giants out of the rotation. Vogelsong, they both have the same pitch. A great cut fastball that both will use all the time. We know Chavez will also use a curveball. Vogelsong has a 2 and 4 seam fastball, low 90s with the heater. But Jesse Chavez in the rotation, he wants to stay there, especially with the acquisition of 2 other starters as of this past weekend.
All right, so the first of a 4-game series, the first 2 here in Oakland, the last 2 in San Francisco. And of course, the Giants are led by Buster Posey. He's got a couple World Series rings and an MVP. And the Athletics, well, they are led by the All-Star Josh Donaldson. It's going to be fun. A's Giants coming up next.
California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box for the new Jalapeno Ranch or Barbecue Ultimate Cheeseburgers at participating restaurants. And by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
We're just about set to go. It's the A's and the Giants from the O.co Coliseum. Lots of fans from both sides hanging out, having a good time, and I'm sure they're ready for what should be a very entertaining 4-game set. As Jesse Chavez is going to get the baseball tonight. Game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily, 70 degrees and a little bit breezy. A nice night for baseball here at the Coliseum. It's going to be a sellout crowd, and the crowd is still filing in. But as we always do, right, we look up to the luxury suites, and I see people all the way to the top row of those luxury suites, and that's always a good sign.
You know, David King has said exactly that suites have been selling. The fans are really coming out in big numbers, and we're seeing it especially in these 2 games.
Let's look at the lineup for the San Francisco Giants. It starts with an all-star Hunter Pence. He's an all-star for the 3rd time. Joe Panik, the rookie, hits second, plays second. Then Belt, Posey, Morris, Colvin, Blanco, Arias, and Crawford. No Sandoval. He is out.
Jesse Chavez making his first ever start against the Giants, 4 relief appearances, but Jesse trying to get back on track. He knows that in his last start against the Tigers, 3 times in the game after having a 2-0 lead, he gave up 2 out RBI hits. 2 to Torrey Hunter, 1 to Austin Jackson. 3 runs that he ended up giving up. He did leave trailing 3-2 and unfortunately picked up the loss.
So Hunter Pence is in there, and the first pitch of the ball game is a bit outside. So we are underway from the Coliseum, the Athletics and the Giants. And that one in for a strike. Jesse Chavez working hard, and Pence does not leave the batter's box. He is ready to hit. Close pitch, 2-1.
Always amazed when an appeal is not at least attempted at the corners. That was a check swing. Didn't swing, but might as well try.
And that one is lined down the left field line, and it's just foul. So the count 2-2. Defensively for the Athletics, it's Cespedes, Crisp, and Gentry in the outfield. Donaldson, Lowry, Cayaspo, Vogt on the infield, and John Jaso is your catcher. So Jaso catching. Stephen Vogt is at first base.
One of the toughest types of hitters to pitch against is a very aggressive hitter. That's what Pence is, as he just hit a hanging curveball.
Checks his swing. So now full count. Pence hitting .301 with 11 home runs, 31 runs batted in. And as we said, an all-star for the 3rd time. 3-2 pitch is popped up. Coming over, Jaso, he's got just enough room, and he makes the catch.
Okay, we're feeling a very, very strong wind coming into the booth, and you have to wonder with a few corridors how it's affecting that ball. Sometimes you see it going to the stands. It stayed in play for Jaso to get to it, but it is blowing hard coming in from the left field. Looks like it's straight in. Right field, flags aren't even blowing. So you figure it out. Throw up some grass and see which way it's going to blow, but that is tough, especially with the ball going up in the air.
So 1 away here in the 1st inning, and this is the young second baseman Joe Panik. So Jesse Chavez looking for his 7th win of the year. Trying to right the ship a little bit. He's been knocked around a little bit his last couple starts.
Well, Jesse is always into preparation and making in-game adjustments, and going through a little bit of a tough time as he is making the 18th start, which is something he has never done in his major league career. So no doubt that he wants to try to keep improving, make an adjustment so he can continue to pitch the way he knows he can do it, and that says it all right there. 4-1 with a .254 in the first 9, last 8, 2-4 with about double the ERA.
1-2 pitch, slice foul. The last 2 starts for Jesse Chavez against Miami and Detroit. 10 innings pitched, 14 hits, 7 walks, and 9 earned runs. So he's trying to put those 2 starts behind him. A 2-pitch curveball, strike 3 call. So keep an eye on where that pitch was and that it was called a strike.
Upon the home plate umpire, when you get a curveball called strike 3, and of course he stayed with it. Did it come around the plate on the corner? Evidently, but it looked like it came around just enough that Panic thought it was going to be a ball, but that's what a pitcher likes.
First pitch to Brandon Belt is in for a strike.
That's one of the points you made about Jesse Chavez. The amazing thing is that he's had the lead in those games. And is the case 2 home runs hit before he took the mound in Detroit, but gave it up quickly, 1 in the next inning. But the 2-out RBI hits, that's probably what a pitcher just likes more than anything.
And the walks caught us by surprise as well. 7 walks in 10 innings. That one fouled, 1 and 2.
You know, Bruce Bochy's happy to see this big hitter back in the lineup. And there's the beautiful field here at the Coliseum. You see the fans in center field. The place is going to be packed completely tonight, tomorrow night. As the A's have been seeing a lot of huge crowds coming out in support of their team.
1-2 pitches fouled straight back. Belt missed 50 games. Is right there, hit on the left hand, and that's a broken finger, folks. And that was a big loss for the Giants. 50 games. That's a 30-year season.
Well, especially the way he was swinging the bat before he went on the disabled list.
And that's the scary part with something like that. Just like that, you lose one of your best hitters for 50 games. And that can happen to any team, and you just hope it's not yours.
It's just a little less than a third of the season missed that quickly. Bruce Bochy, of course, one of the great managers in the game. Knows his hitter was out.
Shift was on. Callaspo scoops it up, and Jesse Chavez has a 3-up, 3-down, top of the first inning. A's come to bat in the bottom of the first. The veteran right-hander Ryan Vogelsong, and this is the lineup that Bob Melvin sends out tonight. Chris will lead things off in center field. Jaso, Cespedes, Moss to follow, and then Donaldson, Vogt, Lowry, Callaspo, and Gentry.
And the veteran Vogelsong has defeated the Athletics. 1 of 3 starts that he's made this season. His 18th start, 5-5 with a sub-4 earned run average, and he's got a pretty good fastball, low 90s, but he'll throw a couple of different fastballs. The 2-4 plus a cut fastball, curveball and changeup. But I think anytime you have a pitching staff, you have a veteran, you'd like to have him start. Of course, the Giants have a bunch of veterans in the rotation, and the A's are going to see 4 of the 5 of them.
Behind Vogelsong, defensively, Colvin in left, Blanco in center, Pence in right, Pagan still on the disabled list. Arias, Crawford, Panic, and Belt on the infield with Buster Posey doing the catching. So Buster Posey behind the dish. Had the day off yesterday. They let that guy in with a split cap, Ray.
Andy Dolich in the marketing department of the Haas family lives on, because Andy Dolich way back in the 80s came up with a cap, and it's still around. Not a lot of them.
There's not a lot.
If you pull one out of the closet, then you're rare to be wearing it, but it's still a popular cap in the Bay Area, especially these types of games.
Coco hitting .291 with 7 home runs, 30 RBIs. A's are 55 and 33, a season high 22 games over 500, and they are 28 and 15, and they got a 3.5 game lead over the Angels in the West. And the Angels are just underway at home hosting the Blue Jays. So we will keep a very close eye on that. Happ for the Jays, Weaver for the Angels. First of a 3-game series down in Anaheim. So the 70th straight day that the Athletics have been in first place in the AL West. And the record is the best in the majors. 2-1 to Coco Crisp. Funny, Ray, the A's have the best record in the major leagues. The team with the second best record in the major leagues is the Angels.
Not surprised. And that's what the A's know. Of course, Jeff Samardzija there visiting with a current pitcher in Scott Kazmir, and Jared Parker out with the Tommy John surgery. And yes, we all believe in Stephen Vogt. We will hear that again, even though he's playing first base team.
That one's hit high in the air and foul, so a full count. So A's and Angels with the 2 best records in the major leagues, and that's pretty amazing if you think about it. Brewers with the 3rd best, Tigers 4th. The Giants are tied for the 6th best record, but the Angels have won 13 out of their last 16, and that's why they have moved up to that 2nd spot, but still trailing the A's by 3.5 in the division.
12 years ago in the magical 2002 season, the A's kept winning every day. 20 in a row, and the Angels didn't go away. So they're doing the same thing this year. But I think we all expected it, and perhaps a lot of people thought that maybe the Western Division would be a 3-team race, thinking there would be more of the Rangers in the race instead of the Mariners, but Rangers have fallen off because of all their injuries. And it's the Athletics, the Angels, and the Mariners top 3 in the division. And the A's know that they have to continue to play hard to maintain the lead and try to put some distance if they can.
Another 3-2 pitch, and it's a leadoff walk for Coco Crisp. Well, the A's got their other pitcher today. That is Jason Hamill. So he arrived, and unfortunately for Brad Mills, he was designated for assignment. So we wish Brad Mills the best of luck. Jason Hamill is here, and there's a good look at the big fella, 6'6". He's been with the Orioles, the Rockies,
and he pitched Friday. Yeah, pitched Friday, and of course making the move from Chicago.
Huge jump, and Coco, he was going to steal it standing up. He goes head first as the ball goes right past Posey. A monstrous jump by Coco Crisp.
Crawford a good job at second trying to deke Coco. He did go to the head first slide. I think more concerned about stealing the bag. Did not know the ball had gotten past Posey, but you're right. He went. You talk about going on first move, maybe in anticipation of the first move. And Posey looked like he came up trying to throw. The best thing for him that he didn't catch the ball, because he would not have had a chance anyway.
So Coco with his 15th steal of the year, and now the A's already a scoring opportunity. Jaso hits one down the right field line. Hunter Pence on the move, and Hunter Pence makes the catch, and Coco was actually about 3 steps toward third base. So Pence caught it, and Coco had to go back and did not have time to tag up.
Coco had to think the ball was going to drop, but rule of thumb, nobody out, you tag. get to third. And if it does drop, ball's in fair territory. And I think Coco realizes with his speed and the momentum of Pence going towards the foul line and how many steps he had to take before he could stop and throw. Coco at that point, and he's thinking it's going to drop and he's going to score. And once he got to that point, and he knows it, should have been tagging. And Jaso, although he didn't hit it deep, it's a ball that probably, with Pence having to go as far as he did before he could throw, should have allowed Coco to get to third.
So here's Cespedes. We've seen Coco in this situation try to steal third, and Panic is kind of hanging around the bag, but not fully holding him on. Coco never afraid to take off.
The only concern at second, and runners know that inside move, and Vogelsong did it on the first one. Just you think he's going to be running to the inside, you don't have to throw to second base like you do the first. But if you go on the first move and it does the inside, the spin move, then you're going to be caught.
Cespedes on the ground to Crawford. Crawford throws in time, and that's the second out. Coco stays at second. And that'll bring up another all-star, Brandon Moss. So we certainly want to throw on our individual congratulations to the A's 6 all-stars, plus Jeff Samardzija. And we talked a lot about it, Ray, and I think we would have been happy with 4.
That's right. Or maybe
we would
2.
have been ecstatic with 5, and the A's got 6. And when we heard that news, It was like, really?
Then you had
that is very cool.
He had Samardzija in there.
Yeah.
That is 7th. Of course, with his record, a very low ERA, and he made it. And I think Brandon Moss very happy to come back in the lineup. He did have the MRI yesterday, and everything looked good. Took some ground balls at first base today, and of course, immediately Bob Melvin, although he's in the DH spot, wanted to ask how he's feeling. He said fine. And that's great news. To miss only 2 games after when he fell and rolled over on his ankle and popped up. Boy, that looks scary.
1-0 to Moss. 19 home runs, 62 RBIs, and a .272 average. Missed inside, 2-0.
This is what happened, and you watch what he does after he hits. It lifts him up off the ground, and that's the scary part. He tried to get up because he was trying to avoid a double play, but watch this right there. He actually was off the ground, and whenever you roll on your ankle and you pop up like that, that's scary. And that's why this place, Cap, you heard it or didn't hear, you could hear a pair and drop. That's how scared a lot of people were, and a scary sight to see.
Now 3-0.
They're not pitching to him either. First base is open. That's just try to get him to swing at a pitcher's pitch and take a chance with the always hot Josh Donaldson, who thrives on RBI situations.
Crawford, the shortstop, playing right behind second base. Panic in short right.
This should not be a hittable pitch. 3-0 for pitching around it.
And it was on the inside corner. It was away from the target. Posey set up outside. The ball came inside, but it was called a strike.
Well, he just overthrew it and got the call. And the corner is the question, the height. But Old Nard has a high strike zone and a low strike zone, which can be very beneficial for a pitcher.
3-1 pitch and a changeup. And that was a good one. So 3-2.
Always hard for a hitter to try to figure if they are trying to pitch to him or not. And Roberson got the 3-0. And this time, though, an excellent changeup as Moss maybe at that point figured he's going to be getting a pitch to hit.
Expo brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. 3-2 to Moss. Donaldson in the on-deck circle. There's the pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So A's had Coco at second with nobody on, could not get him home, so no score after 1.
The game, yes, for Jesse Chavez. Pitched very, very strongly before the break. He'll get 2 starts tonight and this weekend. And for the Giants, June gloom over. It is July, and they had a tough June, but they still, with a 9-game lead, could afford to lose a few games, and they did. Second place, but still a very good team.
Second inning, and it's Posey, Morse, Colvin. And the Giants are without Pablo Sandoval, who was hit by a pitch on Saturday in San Diego, and probably see him tomorrow, maybe, but so they without a big bat.
Left or right elbow? Which
was his left.
So it's not his throwing arm.
Good pitch there, 2-1. So that's a big bat out of the Giants lineup. And the A's catch a little break there.
And
outside, 3-1.
The cut fastball ran a little bit too far off the strike zone.
And that one's outside, and that's a leadoff walk. So we're talking about the A's All-Stars, all 6 of them. Samardzija makes it 7, but let's look at the rest of the All-Stars. Here's your starters: Jones, Trout, Batista in the outfield, Donaldson, Jeter, Cano, Cabrera on the infield. Wieters was voted, but he will not play. It'll be the young man from the Royals. And Nelson Cruz is the designated hitter. So that's your starters, along with Salvador Perez, the very fine young catcher for the Kansas City Royals. So a lot of talent on that page. Man. Morris swings at a pitch well out of the strike zone.
What a season Morris has had for the Giants, and maybe you could say that Josh Reddick robbed him of back-to-back home runs in Scottsdale.
Yeah, that made him mad.
Because he's at 19, and of course he loves this park. If hitting for the Mariners last year was any indication. Big, strong Michael Morris, and what a season he is having for the Giants. One from Seattle, where he played very well, got injured, but first month against the A's, he was just off the charts.
And on 3 pitches, Morris is gone. So that was quick. And let's look at the position players that were named to the All-Star game. And how about Kurt Suzuki? So we're thrilled for Kurt, one of the good guys. So he makes it. As we look through the other surprises, Encarnacion will not play. Kyle Seager was named today, the third baseman for the Mariners. Abreu, terrific rookie. Altuve, well deserving. So no real surprises on that page. Victor Martinez having a sensational season.
Well, Seager was the biggest surprise that he was not on, but happy to hear that he was added to the roster. And of course, there's always going to be players who should have but aren't making it for various reasons. It usually comes down to one per team, and somebody will be eliminated, but usually works its way out. Injuries or something happens to players, and those who are deserving usually show up anyway.
So you've seen the starters and the position player reserves. We'll show you the all-star pitchers from the American League in just a moment.
You're right about Kurt Suzuki. Signs with the Twins during the offseason. The game is at Target Field, his home park, and he makes the team. Of course, he's having a great first half as well.
He really is, hitting right around 300.
Derek Norris is there as well, and he had 8 home runs, 5 of which are 3-run home runs and a grand slam. Playing against righties and lefties. 3 of the home runs against right-handers this year.
Tyler Colvin pops a foul back. 2-2 the count.
Like one of the scouts said to me, let's see, Derek Norris is an all-star. Yeah. I don't see him in the lineup tonight. I said, well, that's part of the way the A's work it. And
too many good catches.
That's right. You had 3, 1 at first, 1 behind the plate. And then Derek Norris is there waiting if necessary.
So 2-2 the count. Strike 3 call. Nice pitch by Jesse Chavez, and that's his 3rd strikeout.
Watch the location. John Jaso moves outside his little backdoor cut fastball, and then stays just enough on the outside corner. Height-wise for Colvin. He thought it was low. It definitely had the outside corner with the cut action. And you might as well get used to swinging the bat tonight, because Paul Nart is showing that for both sides. Really, that's the way the game should be played.
I agree.
Yeah.
Blanco hits one well to center. Poco's on the move, still going back. He's going to get there. Warning track. He's got it. Side retired. So Gregor Blanco put a charge into it. Comes up short, and the Giants do not score.
You know, that we've had guys on this team that are very talented, and that eventually you're going to see, you know, the hard work that we've put in pay off. And I think you've seen that by, you know, our record over the past few years.
So Donaldson, the starting third baseman. Those are the other Athletics players who have been starters at third base. You got to go all the way back to Sal Bando in 1969. So Donaldson, not only an all-star, but voted in, and that's terrific.
Well, coming off last season when he came close in the MVP race, came close in the Gold Glove, all-star, a lot of different areas in which he was in the top. So maybe those people who recognize the great efforts voted him in.
Donaldson, Vogt, and Lowry here in the bottom of the second inning. That one's skied to shallow right. Panic and Pence, and it's going to be the second baseman who grabs it. So that's out number one. Let's look at the American League All-Star pitchers. Betances, we saw him. I think he's worthy, Ray. Terrific reliever for the Yankees. Perkins, hometown, Minnesota. So on that list, again, there's really no surprises. Holland is a terrific closer for the Royals. Burley had the great start. He's slowed down a little bit, but still a 10-game winner. Price has been great as of late. So, again, no surprises, really.
Counting those 12, okay, if you count quickly, you see only 4 relievers, 8 starters. So for John Farrell, a pitching coach himself, and now, of course, the manager of the Red Sox and the world champion Sox to manage the American League. I've been leading Stephen Vogt. They have to yell a long way because he's at first base tonight, but they still appreciate everything he's doing. But I said about the relievers because sometimes when you get in the All-Star game, a manager wants somebody can get it quickly. Get loose to come in a game. Starters typically take a little bit longer than relievers. I'd say John Farrell's a good manager and has a pretty good idea of what he's doing and the selection. But there's so much talent in all of baseball. And to get down to what, 33, 34 players for both teams. The 700 players who play, you're only taking 65, 70 of them. It says a lot about those who are selected, but those who are not, and some pretty good seasons themselves.
Tough job for a manager.
Up and in. Last pitch was outside that he fouled off, and then caught him leaning a little bit, decided to go up and in. And a fastball in.
2-2 pitch. Here it comes. Not close. 3-2. He's got a leadoff walk from Coco Crisp, and he stole second in the first inning. He was there with nobody out, but they could not get him home. And the 3-2 fastball, 89 miles an hour, but pretty well placed. So let's get to the National League, and let's look at their starters. Gomez, McCutchen, Puig. That's a lot of pretty good athletes in that outfield. Ramirez, Tulowitzki, Goldschmidt, Utley, and Yadier Molina. So that's the National League starter. Of course, we don't see the National League quite as much, but you still know who's good and who's not.
One of the first times I've heard that leading up to the All-Star game, as far as the fans voting, there was an actual commercial done for Lucroy of the Milwaukee Brewers, almost point saying Yadier Molina, there been enough Cardinals, and at the end he said, I approve this message. I said, that sounds like a political message, but Yadier Molina still was the winner.
Yeah, and Lucroy is, I mean, he's quietly become one of the best catchers in the game, hitting well over 300. Yeah. Buster Posey not an all-star this year. 0-2 to Lowry. And Lowry, a little flip job to shallow right, panic out. Hunter Pence coming in, and it's going to fall. So Lowry bloops a single into right.
Well, if you start to see smiles on the face of one Jet Lowry, it's because of hits like this. But all through the early part of the season, a lot of line drives have been caught. He's actually told us on post-game shows about line drives, and eventually some of them start falling. But how about the bloops? And they never make up for the line drives, but he'll take it anyway. And he's been pretty hot lately, getting a lot of hits per game.
So a 2-out base runner, and here's Callaspo hitting in the 8th spot. Callaspo 232 with 3 homers, 27 RBIs. He's playing second base tonight. He was 2 for 13 in that series against the Blue Jays over the weekend. Of course, the A's pitchers did such a great job over the weekend holding the Jays, a good team, offensive team, to just 4 runs. And A's offense did not do a whole lot, but they did enough. And when your pitching is that great, you don't need to do a whole lot. With 4 runs allowed by the A's in that 4-game series, tied for the fewest runs allowed in a 4-game series in Oakland history.
Well, the only home run hit, and going into the series, the team that hit the most. And it takes a pinch hitter, former Athletic.
Steve Hollis. Killing the A's record books.
How about that? And he hit the home run against Scott Casper in Toronto. There's Donnie Murphy, all these ex-A's hurting the Athletics. Tyson Ross is an all-star too. How about that?
Congratulations to a good guy, Tyson Ross.
Having a good season for the Padres. Traded down south, and I'm sure that this is going to show him very soon.
Outfield pretty shallow for Callaspo. And that one right in there for a strike. 2-2 the count.
Let this change up. The floater just starts floating towards the middle part of the plate.
And his velocity on his changeup a little higher than most. He's thrown at 84, 85 miles an hour. So a fastball inside, and the count is 3-2.
And we always talk about the differential, 10 to 12 miles per hour. He's only about 6 to 7 with the fastball velocity, of which he'll throw 2 and 4 seam fastball and a cutter. So there's 50% of his pitches, and then down to the curve and the change cutter. If you add the 2 and 4, so you got 68% of some type of a fastball.
3-2, runner goes, and the pitch is grounded toward Panic, who slides to his right, and that'll do it. So a hit for Lauer, he's stranded, and we're on to the 3rd. No score between the A's and the Giants. Brought to you by Evergood Sausage Company. Get grilling. So A's and the Giants. No score. Top of the 3rd inning. The Arias, Crawford, and Pence. 8-9-1. So Jesse Chavez is ready as he faces Joaquin Arias, who is playing in place of Sandoval. And the first pitch is strike. The lone base runner in the first 2 innings for the Giants was Posey's leadoff walk in the second inning. So both teams have had a leadoff walk in the game. Good pitch right on the outside corner, and it's 1-2.
In fact, for Arias, and you think about the Giants playing in American League Park, he didn't like the call, by the way. But for an 8th place hitter, he knows that American League Park, the pitcher's not hitting behind him. Might change his whole thinking just because he knows Crawford's back there instead of a pitcher. He will be pitched to as if he is a hitter versus maybe realizing that a non-position player would be in the on-deck circle in the National League. It is Crawford hitting 9th for the Giants in this game.
So 2-2 the count. That one's looped into center field. Coco coming out. He's not going to get it. So a leadoff single for Joaquin Arias. Let's get some more of the National League All-Stars. You saw the starters. Now these are the position player reserved. We talked about Luke Croy. Daniel Murphy, we saw him with the Mets. Charlie Blackmon. Hunter Pence from the Giants. We talked about that. D. Gordon, first timer, very speedy outfielder, speedy second baseman for the Dodgers. And Giancarlo Stanton, we knew that was going to happen. So that's the extra position players for the National League All-Stars. I'll show you the National League All-Star pitching staff in just a moment. Here's Crawford, the shortstop. Runner goes, and Crawford pops a foul back.
I think this is a matter of Bruce Bochy trying to create some offense.
Yeah, they've had trouble scoring runs the last 3-4 weeks.
Now, if that's the case, you might be seeing some running.
Crawford is really struggling. He's 5 for his last 39, and I think sometimes that's a good time to put a hit and run out.
Absolutely.
Guy doesn't have to think about anything. Just swing.
Right.
This one's driven toward Coco in center. Coco going back. Arias hustles back to first, and he's late getting back, so he could not tag up. The ball trickles away, and that's bad base running by Joaquin Arias. So let's look at the pitchers for the National League, and then you'll have seen all the All-Stars. Bumgarner for the second consecutive year. We'll see him tomorrow night. And how about Pat Neshek? Is that great? And he has been terrific for the Cardinals.
Very deserving, and his comments very simply thankful. I mean, everything that he's gone through. He wasn't even, it's kind of an invite to spring training for the Cardinals. He was almost out of baseball completely. So a great story. All the ones that we expect to see in Kershaw. The guy named Samardzija was on there too for the National League pitchers.
I've heard of that guy, yeah. So Jeff Samardzija is going to be announced as a National League All-Star, and he's going to be in the National League line. And after the announcements, and then he's going to go over to the American League dugout. At least that's what we've been told. Guess he's going to have a neutral jersey on. Some all-star jerseys.
Maybe have a split, American and National, and he can wear a split cap.
So it'll be interesting for Jeff Samardzija, but he's an all-star.
But you know, you think about it. He's playing in the American League. Just think, though, if there was the possibility that he pitched for the National League, he's trying to help the American League win the home field advantage if his team goes to postseason, the World Series. Yet he's no, so it can't work that way. And it's just unusual that a player is traded before the All-Star game. That's why it's so unusual and unprecedented. Tony La Russa, the manager of the Cardinals, who won the World Series, managed the All-Star team, but he was a manager. But that's an interesting setup. Saw that Starlin Castro was selected as a player, so there's only one Cub. I just wonder if he was selected before Samardzija, because now the Samardzija essentially was a Cub, now an Athletic, so a little confusion there as well.
fouled straight back. So you've seen all the All-Stars, and of course there's still one more to be voted in from each league. Always a fun time looking at the All-Star rosters. Guys that, always guys that should have made it. And strike 3 called. Pence could not pull the trigger. So that is 4 strikeouts now for Jesse Chavez.
Well, this time the check swing was called by the home plate umpire, and it's a question, and it is the umpire calling it. Pitch on the outer part off the plate, and Paul Nart making the call. Always surprising. That's why Pence looked back. You got to follow Adrian Beltre immediately. Look to first base. By the way, that's a great shot Tommy Adds ahead of his pants pulled up. That's the highest I've ever seen.
Yeah, he jerks him way up over the knee.
Over the knee. This is not just below the knee or above the knees.
Only Hunter Pence can sort of pull that off.
Now, that's a swing. Yeah. So either way, it should have been called, but it happened to be the home plate umpire. But yeah, those are above the knee. Jesse Chavez did that. That would be a great look. He stretches his pants out.
Sets them down.
He stretches them, and he wants his legs to look bigger. And you have them pulled up, showing a lot of stirrup. And no, Jesse would never do that. All he wants to do is just keep pitching as great as he has been.
So 1-1 the count to Panic. Arias still at first. Runner goes, pitches inside, and Jaso cannot get a handle on it. So it's a stolen base for Arias.
And it's all about the transfer. Catchers work on catch and throw, catch and transfer. Darren Bush has the catchers down in the bullpen doing exactly that. But John Jaso could not do it, did not want to take a chance. Had everything working until that point. He had a change-up grip, decided to put it back in his glove.
2-1 pitch toward Coco Crisp. Coco coming in. He'll get there. Side retired. So the Giants get a leadoff runner, and they can't get him home. Bottom of the third coming up. No score.
For Wednesday, July 23rd, A's players, coaches, local celebrities, and more will serve fans root beer floats for $2 each. Mugs signed by Bob Melvin will be available for $25, $15. Non-autographed mugs with unlimited refills are also available. Proceeds will benefit the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. As always, admission is free with a game ticket.
Bottom of the third, it'll be Gentry, Crisp, and Jaso. That's Vogelsong, who has given up 1 hit. He's got a couple of strikeouts. talked about Jesse Chavez's last 2 starts. Vogelsong's last 2 starts. He's given up 3 earned runs in 13 innings with 15 strikeouts, and he's lost them both. That's where the Giants struggling to score runs lately have hurt Vogelsong, but a couple of pretty good lineups, the Reds and the Cardinals, and nothing to show for it except a couple of losses.
He's did his part to keep his club in the game, and of course in those parks pitchers come out earlier because of pinch hitting and pitchers hitting. He also saw a note where he had a 14+ innings of scoreless in the interleague play. A couple of more innings tonight. Changing his speeds very effectively. Sneaky fastball that he has thrown by a couple of hitters, both on a 3-2, and Moss also 3-2 fastballs.
So 2-2 the count to Gentry, trying to get something going here in the bottom of the 3rd. So we showed you all the All-Stars, and one last part of the All-Star game is the final vote candidates, 5 from each league, and one of the 5 will get voted in from each league. There's a line drive, and that's a base hit to center field. So Gentry has a leadoff single, and perfect spot for the A's now with the top of the order coming up. So these are the final 5 vote from each league. Keuchel, Kluber, Porcello, Richards, and Sale. And a lot of people scratching their head how Porcello, Richards, and Sale, none of those 3 could have been named. And that's a fairly decent argument for all of them.
Keuchel hasn't been so bad himself, but I think if you look at publicity and promotion, Corey Kluber should win by a landslide. He's all over. They're promoting him in Cleveland like he's the president or something, or trying to be, because they are doing unbelievable amount of promotion. Well, the 9th place hitter, the second leadoff hitter for the Athletic, Craig Gentry, just hit a solid single to center field. So speed at first, speed at the plate. That's one of the great things about having speed at the 9th place of the batting order, especially leading off an inning, as Gentry has done in this inning. Big day yesterday, swinging the bat well and on base 3 times.
Coco walked and stole a base in the first inning, was stranded at second. There's a strike. Gentry over at first has 15 consecutive successful stolen bases this year, and 27 straight going back to last year. So that's another option for the A's here. Pitch is outside. Coco showed bunt.
Coco's looking down to Mike Gallego, and Coco knows, as we all do, that Craig Gentry has the green light. And look at signs, but Mike Gallego is just going through probably nothing signs. And Coco trying to give Gentry a chance if he can figure out what Vogelsong's doing. Coco did it the first inning because he ran on the first move and stole it easily. I count if a pattern is forming here, that throw over means that the pitch to Coco will be a breaking ball. As he threw over the first time, he threw a curveball for a strike. And sometimes a pitcher, when he's going to throw a breaking ball, something slower, will throw to first base, try to keep the runner closer because it's a pretty good pitch to run on if it's off speed.
Sounds like you caught a few games at the big league level, right? Makes perfect sense, that's for sure.
Well, I know Sandy Alomar Jr. talked about Pudge Rodriguez when the Indians played the Rangers, and it really makes a lot of sense. Bruce Bochy is a catcher himself. This is more of science to Buster Posey about throw overs or pitch outs.
Arias is well in on the grass at third. And the count now 2-1. There it was.
A lot of catchers. 2 in the dugout, 1 playing first, a couple catching. Another all-star on the bench.
Good all-stars everywhere. That's
Right about Posey, the numbers he's had and catcher that he has done for the Giants.
So now 3-1. So pretty good spot here for the Athletics.
Off the plate, and Barnard, well, he's had a pretty good pitcher strike zone on that and not given.
Gentry runs, and it's bunted foul at the plate, and I don't think that's what Coco wanted to have happen, but he actually fouled it. And I think he may have been pulling his bat back.
He was, exactly. It was a strike. Gentry was taken off. Another great break. Didn't look back. To right, Coco there, and then pulled it back. And as he pulled it back, did not quickly enough. And Mr. Posey immediately pointed. And he was correct. And it was a foul ball.
So he's just trying to maybe distract the catcher a little bit.
And it was a strike. It was going to be a strike anyway, but the jump Gentry had, it probably would have been a runner at second. 3-2, nobody out. Doesn't necessarily have to worry about a great jump. Coco usually makes contact, and with a 3-2 count, assuming he's going to be running, it would be run hard in case it's strike 3, but also look up and see if there's contact.
Gentry runs, and the pitch is hit foul left side. Well, pretty much looks like the tailgating is over, the barbecuing's over in the parking lot, and everybody's in the ballpark at this point.
Yeah, as it was filling up, some people up here were saying they'd gone outside and they saw some long lines.
Oh, yeah.
People waiting to get in. It is SRO, standing room only, and in the view quarters, 3 levels of suites sold out. A lot of good things happening.
Gentry goes again. The pitch is high, and the A's have 2 on and nobody out.
Matt Vogelson in the first 2 innings had 3-2 counts. 3-2 count in this inning. But in the first 2 innings, 3 of his outs came on 2 pitches, another on 3. So while he's had 3-2 counts and now walked a couple, pitch count not as high as you might expect, although it's getting there.
John Jaso.
So here's Jaso. Jaso hit a fly ball down the right field line, and Pence long run, and he made the play. About as much speed as you could possibly have on the bases with
That's a great point.
Gentry and Crisp. There's a strike to John Jaso.
That's a great point, because now the Giants have to be concerned not only about a stolen base but a double steal, and Coco's a trailing runner. Well, last year he became a 20-20 player, studying number 20 in this situation. Trailing runner.
Arias is way off the bag at third. That's another plus for the Athletics.
That's the plus right there for Vogelson and the Giants. But you're right. I don't even know if Posey would throw to third. He may have a pre-planned play to throw to second should both runners take off. But with that kind of a shift on, I don't know if that Arias could get to the back quickly enough, and a throw down the left field line might score 2.
Not close. So Vogelson pretty sharp through the first 2 innings. Not quite the same here in the third, and he really slows things down when runners get on base. That one's hit in the air to right center and hit well. Blanco's back. He's going to get there. He's got it. Gentry will tag. He will go to third. Coco stays at first. So a productive out for Jaso. on a well-struck ball.
Jason, no stride, so this is all upper body. He's very strong, could not pull it. And deep enough to center field and maybe just enough of a breeze. And of course, Blanco playing relatively deep, able to get the ball easy enough. And Gentry, that's what you do. Fly ball, you realize it's going to be caught, tagging easily. Coco thought about it, but Blanco got the ball back in quickly to keep the double play in order.
So here's Cespedes, who grounded out to the shortstop in the first inning. Cespedes struggling some. He's 1 for his last 17. Now we'll see if he can bust out of that right here and give the A's the lead in this game. First pitch is popped up. Posey back, and Posey almost slips on the donut, but he makes the catch. And Coco, and now Coco better be careful because they're sneaking in behind him, and he hustles back. Blanco, the center fielder, ran all the way in, and so did Pence, the right fielder. And I'm going to give Blanco some credit there. Yeah. He ran all the way in from center field.
Coco realized that first base was unoccupied, vacated by Dunn coming in to home plate along with Vogelsong as Posey made the play. And I tell you, if Posey had thrown the ball, he's smart not to throw it. If he had thrown it, Gentry could have walked into home.
And then there would have been a scramble to try to get to home plate.
Yeah. But Coco trying to draw a throw, could not. And that's a big out, getting Cespedes to pop up behind home plate.
So here's Moss. Moss struck out with a runner at second and 2 outs in the first inning. Here he's got first and third 2 outs, and he hits it hard, but right into the shift. And that'll do it. So the A's let a good scoring opportunity sneak by, and we're on to the fourth. Still no score. By North Lake Tahoe. Real summer, real close. Beautiful night at the ballpark. Game 1 of this 4-game Bay Bridge series. The first 2 here in Oakland, and then Wednesday and Thursday in San Francisco. That's the way it's set up this year. That youngster's got the split cap on it. So maybe we're wrong about the split cap, Ray. Maybe it's more popular than we think.
I think it is coming back.
That's true.
I think
it left in its back.
Yeah, but during the Bay Bridge series, I want to say there were some on sale, but not in great numbers. So it's one of those limited edition type. Now, I don't know. I'd take the split real cap instead of a feather, but orange and gold.
It's Belt, Posey, Morris. So the heart of the order for the Giants here in the 4th inning. curve is outside. Belt grounded out to the second baseman Caspo to end the first inning. 1 hit for the Giants, 2 for the A's. Belt fouls it back. Shift is on for Belt, but it's a shallow shift. There's nobody out in shallow right field. All the infielders are on the dirt. So it's a kind of a different version of the shift. That wishbone shift with the guy out in right field is not there.
Never thought we'd be talking wishbone in baseball.
Nope. Right there, strike 3 called. Belt didn't like it, but boy, that looked like a good pitch. Here's our forward right choice, and it goes back to yesterday. Big day for Jeff Samardzija, his Athletics debut, and he was terrific. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 108 pitches, and maybe the best thing about it is the 7th inning, his final inning, he struck out the sign.
With a new catcher, Dirk Norris had come in for pinch hitting for John Jaso, and I know Bob Melvin had thought about that because sometimes you don't want to catch or change a catcher-pitcher battery, but it did not affect Jeff Samardzija as he struck out the side, especially a 3-2 split finger fastball called by Dirk Norris, catching the 7th. Samardzija, of course, jumped right in, had to be ecstatic with the run support, something that was not given in Chicago.
So what I'm excited about, Ray, well, he pitched yesterday, Sunday, so he's going to pitch Friday night against Felix Hernandez in Seattle. So that'll be a lot of fun. And
that's right.
Jeff Samardzija should look forward to that. It'll be a great atmosphere in Seattle against the All-Star Felix Hernandez. So a couple of All-Stars squaring off.
He should know. He's watched the Supreme Court will be out on Friday night in Seattle.
3-0 pitch. Strike to Posey, and the count is 3-1.
He's surprised as I am. He was not swinging.
Yeah, and it looked like maybe he did have the green light, but he just couldn't pull the trigger.
Jason Hamill will pitch Wednesday.
So 2 outs. So there's Jason Hamill, the other newest Athletic, and he's going to start the Wednesday game. It's a night game at San Francisco, and he's probably having the best season of his career. He's been with the Rockies and the Orioles and then the Cubs.
And he is, and his wife expected their 2nd child in September. And that's why when he was acquired, the A's said, take your time, get everybody settled. And the wife who's due in September, you have to move from Chicago to the Bay Area. He's from the East Coast, so it took a little bit extra time. And he is ready to go. He said he had a 3-game hitting streak going. So that's something we'll watch out for him Wednesday night when he's facing the Giants and Matt Cain.
So he gets a chance to extend it.
Yeah. Now, if he pitches against Atlanta, in Atlanta, he'll never have another chance to hit.
That would be his last possible.
Yeah. So Jason Hamill, he's right now thinking more about, do I get another hit off Matt Cain to keep my hit streak alive, or pitch well for his new team, which I'm sure he will.
Pitch got up, and Morris a shot to left for a hit. 2-out single, 2nd hit for the Giants so far in the game.
I do stand corrected that this big DH tonight, Michael Morris, 14 home runs, not 19 as I'd said earlier. I put my lineup sheet in too quickly, and the number 9 was there, but he has hit a lot of home runs against the Athletics, and he, like Belt, very big and strong, and same pitch that he struck out on, did not break as sharply this time, stayed up and was able to get the base hit.
So here's Colvin. Colvin swings and misses. Giants still without Angel Pagan, their center fielder and leadoff man, and they don't expect him back until after the All-Star break.
One of the biggest out Jesse Chavez has already recorded in this game came last inning after Arias stole second. I mentioned in the last start, Jesse gave up 3 hits early with 2 out and run scoring hits, but this time he's able to get Panic to pop up to center field. It got jammed, but fortunately Coco could catch up to it.
Quick throw to first, and it's dug out by Fuller. Jaso throwing to first, and I don't know if there was contact made with Colvin, but it looked like Jaso kind of threw a changeup.
Yes, he did. Now that's not like a hitter falling over the plate throwing to second. It's different when you're throwing to the bases.
So you're on your own if you're throwing it to first.
Well, exactly, and really, Nolan Ducky, he doesn't have to. It's just like somebody trying to steal third, and I think Jaso is more concerned about Colvin there than himself because he knows that only applies throwing to second.
Remember, the A's were in Colorado a couple years ago, and Colvin hit a couple home runs off the A's. 1-2 pitch, outside corner. He strikes Colvin out looking again. So that's 6 strikeouts for Jesse Chavez, and the Giants do not score. Donaldson, Vogt, and Lowry in the bottom of the 4th. No score.
Responder softball game presented by AAA. First responders from Oakland and San Francisco will battle for softball supremacy. As a thank you to these men and women who put their lives on the line to help save ours, AAA will be making a donation to each of the participating organizations. Should be a lot of fun for the Giants game tomorrow.
Bottom of the 4th. No score just yet as Donaldson leads things off. He popped out to second baseman Panic in the second inning. And Donaldson, a foul ball, but they've got a little piece of the hand. So the pitch was way inside. Donaldson's trying to check his swing.
But that one didn't even look like it hit his hand, but he is shaking his right hand, and maybe the right hand, but his hand was on the bat. And so Belt do something similar to that, getting up a broken finger.
Two walks, 2 strikeouts so far for Vogelsong. And there's his 3rd strikeout. So there's that changeup, 85 miles an hour.
It's working well because it comes out just like a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and you can see it in his grip, pulls the string, and a great changeup with Donaldson way out in front.
So here's Vogt. We're keeping a close eye on that Angels Blue Jays game. It's 1-1 in the 4th inning. But something interesting happened, Ray, is Jared Weaver starting that game. And Jared Weaver went out for the top of the third to warm up, get ready for the inning, and he threw one pitch, and then he stopped. And he stood on the mound, he walked around for a little while, and they came out and they took him out. Lower back stiffness. So 2 innings, and that was it. So that's the report that we got anyways, was lower back stiffness for Weaver. So they brought in Matt Shoemaker, who threw 102 pitches on Thursday night, and said, 3 days rest, we need you now. And so Shoemaker, who's done a good job as a starter, has replaced Weaver in the 3rd inning. That one hit very high, foul territory. Pence on the move, Belt on the move, and it's going to be nobody. So Pence banged into the bullpen, looking for some help down there from his good friends. A's looking for some help from the police officer, and I think the A's won out on this one.
OPD won.
I was going to say, my guess, that's an Oakland police officer, not a San Francisco police officer.
OPD. Look at that, just pulling guard right in front of him.
That roof is pretty secure up there, too.
How about that roof, huh?
Love that roof. Vogt hits one toward the A's bullpen just to keep everybody happy.
See how the OPD officers down there. Hey, David Redding, Vice President of Stadium Operations, he's right on top of things, isn't he? He's got the OPD in left field, right field. Knows this is a big series, huh?
Vogt struck out swinging in the 2nd inning. Bounce foul. The Mariners are leading the Twins 1-0 in the 4th inning. That's the first of a 4-game series. So Seattle will have 4 against the Twins and then get ready to host the Athletics next weekend. Correa for the Twins, Iwakuma for the Mariners. That's the matchup, so we'll watch that game as well. See where the Mariners said, you know what? We're going to slide Felix Hernandez back a day. He's scheduled to pitch Thursday, and they said, we want to pitch against the A's. We're not even going to beat around the bush here.
You know what that means? A 6th starter has to be brought up because they don't have an off day. So they have to bring somebody up to pitch in Felix's spot.
They may feel it's worth it.
Yeah.
When they're 7 back, and you know what? I don't blame them. And Vogt tries to hold up.
From the Mariners' standpoint, what they're hoping for in doing what they're doing with the rotation this weekend is to get help from the Giants. Stephen Vogt, Posey is trying to actually, it was Vogelson on the mound pointing for an appeal. He was pointing to first and then pointed to third. And Paul Lawrence said, no, I got it right. I don't need to appeal.
The 2 pitches low. Good take by Vogt. Full count.
You know, the Mariners actually are pitching very well.
Oh, big time.
And the surprise is that they would make that arrangement. And granted, they know Felix is one of the best in the game. But can't take anything away from the other starters in the rotation who would be pitching if he did not start Friday.
There's a line shot left center field, and nobody's going to get it. Bangs up against the wall, and Vogt has a 1-out double.
Well, we knew the crew in right field would be voting for Stephen Vogt, and they're going to be loud now because they believe in Vogt. And Vogt came through with a high fastball, another 3-2 count, and we have seen what has happened when Vogelson has fallen behind. 3-2. He's walked a couple with a 3-2 count. He's got some strikeouts, but this, a fastball that was elevated, and it did not slice back enough for Colvin, actually over his head. An easy double for Stephen Vogt.
So Vogt with an 8-game hitting streak as he continues to be one of these hottest hitters. So another opportunity for the Athletics. They have stranded 4 through the first 3 innings. Lowry takes low. Lowry blooped a single in the second inning with 2 outs.
Was he going through a lot of signs, almost to the point that it wasn't multiple signs, and it can be a little bit dangerous at times if going through multiple signs and the pitcher keeps shaking off and you end up going to one sign. You can tell, or maybe the runner second could tip off what's happening.
Blanco is under it. He's got it. Vogt stays at second. So 2 outs. As Lowry is retired, and that'll bring up Alberto Callaspo.
This guy is the leader. He's got his batting gloves
Second
on.
baseman, number 7, Alberto
He's got a bullhorn. He's
Callaspo.
got an A's jersey. He's got an A's cap. He's got the green bell.
He's into it.
Yes, he is. He got one of those metal bars in front of him that he can strap it to it.
There's a lot going on tonight in the audience, folks, and I say that in a good way,
Sure.
because they're having a lot of fun. There's, sounds like a, you said, Ray, it sounds like a game down in Venezuela in winter ball.
Oh, yeah.
Horns playing.
That's right. You got the drummers, you got the flag wavers. Guys taking pictures, they're doing something, looking at a microscope.
Callaspo swings at that changeup, and he missed it. So it's 0-1.
But I think we've seen from Vogelsong, he is not afraid to throw his off-speed pitches, and especially in RBI situations.
Callaspo grounded out to second to end the second. Fastball is low. Decent arms in the outfield for the Giants.
Stephen Vogt could say, well, I've hit triple, so I have good speed.
Shouldn't be an issue.
That's right.
Missed inside, and the count 2-1.
I've always thought that some pitchers, if they have a good changeup, and it's usually a left-handed pitcher, if they fall behind knowing they can always go to their best pitch, the changeup. Because in the hitters count, the fastball is the pitch that hitters like to look for. But if a changeup comes out of the same arm slot as the fastball, pulls a string, it becomes a very good pitch. So if he does it 2-1.
Very close, but a little low. And that's the pitch Vogelsong wants you to swing at.
That's the 85, so it's a little bit harder variety of an off-speed pitch, but almost like a BP fastball, but very good eye by Callaspo. Again, first base is open. Left-handed hitter, right-handed in the on-deck circle, although Gentry is already singled.
The 3-1 pitch is looped to left center, but playable as Blanco does it, and Vogelsong works out of another jam, and the Oakland A's are 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and we're scoreless. 1986. Tony La Russa's first game as an A's manager, and the A's beat the Boston Red Sox 6-4. Dave Stewart got the win. First of 116 career wins for Dave Stewart as an Athletic. And let's not forget about Jose Canseco, who hit his 20th home run. So, boy, that was way back in 1986 when Tony La Russa took over for the Oakland A's. So he comes from the White Sox, and he had won a division with the White Sox in '83, and people are still scratching their head. Why would the White Sox let him go?
Well,
he was a young manager back then.
The owner scratched his head to this day. Jerry Reinsdorf said, worst movie ever made, and we're sitting in Boston visiting dugout, Fenway Park, Tony La Russa holding court, and he said, I want Dave Stewart. And that was the beginning of some great starts by Stu against the Red Sox, and especially Roger Clemens.
Well, when it was all said and done for Tony La Russa, who's a Hall of Famer, finished with the great seasons at the Cardinals, but 798 wins with the A's.
Actually, it's signed with the Athletics.
3-1 now to Blanco. He'll be followed by Arias and Crawford, bottom three in the Giants order. No score. Blanco hits it hard, and he takes a nice big hop. Looks like it hit the mound, and I think that helped the A's. Ball was hit pretty hard, but it kind of popped up. Nice big hop for Callaspo, and that's out number one.
Blanco's thinking, I got a base hit up the middle, and watch how it changes direction. Whoop. Off to the side of the incline, right to Callaspo. And Blanco cannot believe it. Hit the ball hard his previous at bat to straightaway center, and he's saying, you got to be kidding me. What else can go wrong? And about 4-3 put out. A good pitch to hit on the 3-1. Hit it hard, but back in the dugout.
That play right there may resemble what's going on with these two teams right now. Giants are 49-39. Just a half game behind the idle Dodgers in the National League West. So normally, Ray, you'd be thinking the old, if I told you this in spring training, if you went up to somebody on the Giants and said, hey, you'll be 10 over and a half game out at this point in the season, they would have said fine. But then you have to add in the fact that on June 8th, the Giants were 42-21, and they had the best record in baseball, and they had a 9.5 game lead on the Dodgers. They then lost 18 of their next 23 and lost 11 games in the standings.
And I don't care how bad your offense might be in scoring runs. They've got a great pitching staff. That is just very hard to believe that sometime they did not get a shutout and score one run and win.
Arias is 2 for 2. So when the dust settled, the Giants won Saturday and Sunday in San Diego, and they're a half game behind the Dodgers.
Cut fastball stayed up too high, and Arias still went out and raked it back towards left center. So he is having a good night, hitting in the 8th spot of the lineup, and he did steal a base his first time on base, and that was with a couple of outs.
So 9th place hitter Crawford steps up. Crawford hit a ball to center field in the 3rd inning. Hit it pretty well. The night is cooling off here at the Coliseum. Off the foot of Crawford. Crawford grew up in the East Bay. Went to Foothill High School in Pleasanton.
Big note whenever he was playing in the World Series, how the local young man makes good for the world champions.
Swing and a miss. So 0-2. Right now he is scuffling at the plate. 5 for his last 40. Behind in the count, 0-2. Pence will be next. ball, and he slaps it down the left field line, just foul. When you're going good, it's fair.
Yeah.
When you're not, it's fine.
Jesse Chavez is happy because that would have been second and third, or maybe even second with an RBI. But hanging curveball stayed outside, and Crawford protecting, kind of hit the ball almost behind the plate, but sliced just enough from the age standpoint to go foul.
So the count remains 0-2. And he went around on a pitch in the dirt, and he's out, but Arias is going to hustle the second. So Crawford swung at a ball in the dirt. So that's the second out. The Giants do have a runner in scoring position.
Not much John Jaso could do with a hard curveball. He did get the swing, but off his chest protector, and Arias alertly taking second base and did not have to worry about trying to steal. A secondary lead, and once he saw the ball hit the dirt and just bounced away just enough for him to get to second.
So here's Pence, the leadoff man, who's 0 for 2. This pitch is hot.
Now, this is a right-handed batter with a left hand in the on-deck circle. But you know what? This guy is a dangerous hitter. And he just signed a huge contract for these situations, and Jaso and Chavez can pitch accordingly.
Well, he's a funky player to watch, but he's a pretty good play.
Well, and an aggressive hitter, as mentioned earlier, that he's a tough guy to pitch to because he may swing at a pitch over his head out of the strike zone and find a way to put it in play.
He takes 3-0. Pence, the second most hits in the National League, 106, and the second most runs scored, 64.
Paddock just called up young second baseman. Now they are going to put Pence on. Now Pence strike zone.
He may go after it.
But with those pins pulled up, that's a thigh-high strike zone. That's not knee-high, thigh-high.
Maybe that's what he's doing, Ray. He's trying to shorten his strike zone by lifting his pants up.
And he just pulled them up even farther when he got to first base. But that's pretty good pitching and at least thinking, because he is very good. Look at this. Look at it. They're not up high enough. That is definitely over the knees. So he is wearing something under the stirrup socks and just puts the stirrup socks on for decoration, or the dark socks.
Here's Panic. First pitch, and in on the hands a little bit. He pops it up just behind the A's dugout.
And these are situations that, as a pitcher, catcher, manager, pitching coach, you're thinking in the right direction. Now you have to execute. And Panic also understanding, as he stood in the on-deck circle, what the A's were thinking. It's unusual that you pitch carefully to a right-hander with first base open, righty on righty with the lefty coming up.
Curve floats outside, so the count 1-1 to Panic, who has struck out looking, and the fly ball to center field. Panic was the Giants' #1 draft pick in 2011. Good pitch inside corner, and Jesse Chavez gets the strike call. 1-2.
Two-seam fastball, so he has a backdoor cutter. Two-seam fastball that throws Panic. And now he and Jason are going to talk about it. That's a great pitch. You get that kind of movement. And then, of course, Jesse can throw cutter down and in. Cutter backdoor. Two-seam fastball in. Curveball. Bounce a changeup. Do a lot of different things with a couple of strikes.
1-2 pitch, and that one fouled to the screen. Arias, the runner at second. Pence is at first. it, and Jesse Chavez gets out of the jam. So he now has 8 strikeouts through 5 innings, and we're going to the bottom of the 5th, no score. California is brought to you by Casino Matrix. Come see for yourself the Casino Matrix difference. Some of the goodies for A's fans. There's a lot of green and gold in the stands tonight. A lot of orange and black. And let's hope they're all just getting along. Because they're watching a good ball game. No score, bottom of the 5th inning. Vogelsong and Jesse Chavez, both pitchers have wiggled out of trouble. The A's 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And they've stranded 5 through 4 innings. So he's looking for that big hit. Gentry, Crisp, and Jaso. This is the 18th year that these two teams have been squaring off. Remember back in 1997 when it all started? Nobody was sure what the heck was going on with interleague play. It was a big change at the time. It's been here ever since. So 18 years.
Well, the great thing about this rivalry and the fact that two teams in the Bay Area, we see it also in Chicago, I'm sure. As this is the all-time series and close, a lot of closeness in the total number of games, but I think it's great because you're going to see 4 sellout crowds.
Yep.
And very lively crowds.
And Gentry is hit by a pitch.
And they're going to ask about a check swing, and he's asking first base, and
Bochy's coming out.
And Angel Hernandez threw up his hands because they were asking about a check swing, and I don't think he went, Kipe. I don't know. And if it hit his hand, similar to what Donaldson did, or did it hit his right hand, it definitely was not a swing. Right to the right hand, the top hand, as he follows through. Gentry a couple of times.
They may take a look at this, although it doesn't look like anything we're seeing would make you think that, or would make the umpires change their mind. Would it?
Presented by Samsung.
Ron Wotus had that look on his face, but the funny thing about it, when Paul Nara looked down to first base. Angel Hernandez got to throw up his hands. You know, maybe he couldn't tell.
So the Giants are going to challenge this, but boy, I just can't imagine that there's anything that you would see on the video that would make you change your mind.
Well, it's not a swing for sure because his bat doesn't go through. And
see, I think the ball. I think it did hit his hand because the ball started to redirect.
Yeah, right there. It changed direction.
Now it did hit the bat maybe later on, right there, maybe. But that. Yeah, I think it did hit his right hand.
It definitely changed directions and of course a big play for both teams. It does give the A's a leadoff hitter, as Gentry did 2 innings ago, leading off the 3rd inning, singled, and this time would also be on first if it is not overruled. Angel Hernandez took the microphone and pointed it up. Paul Nara, he wanted to whisper something to him and didn't want New York to hear it.
Be careful. Microphones can be dangerous at times. Vogelsong has been warming up pretty much the whole time. It's interesting. Some guys warm up, other guys just stand there. And the call is going to stand. So it'll be a hit by pitch, and the A's have their leadoff man on for the 3rd time in 5 innings. So there's the Bruce Bochy breakdown on the challenges. 16 out of 24 overturned, but not that one.
And I think Bruce Bochy went out and challenged it before maybe Ron Wotus had gotten the call from upstairs with their video coordinator, whoever was watching it.
No, the A's with another opportunity. Their leadoff man aboard.
I'm sure Bruce Bochy thinking he could keep the speed of Gentry off first base, especially in a scoreless game in the 5th inning. He would make every attempt, but fortunately from the A's standpoint, it was not overturned. But to say Vogelsong has pitched exclusively at the windup, no, he's out of the stretch every inning now. But he has been a master at changing speeds, sticking some fastballs by hitters, and maybe not.
And he got a good jump. Posey's throw to second base, not in time. So pretty good throw by Posey, but again, Gentry got a huge jump.
And those things are very important when it comes to caught stealings or not. The jump. Gentry just tremendous sprinter speed. No looking back this time, as he knew it was going to be a straight steal. He knew Coco was going to take the pitch. And what a great slide, head first all the way. But the jump is what it's all about. Once he takes off, he's almost at full speed by the time he does take the first step.
So now the runner's at second base with nobody out. Corner infielders in.
And the pitch was a ball. Coco faked the bunt. And Crawford doing a good job straddling the bag, which is always important for a middle infielder. And catch, tag, but Gentry's left hand was already on the bag.
A strike call as Coco short bunt. 1-1 to count. Crisp has walked twice and stole the base so far tonight.
Corner infielders in. Man, you talk about tempting to let him swing the way and try to find one of the holes on the right or left side. Big shot, showing how much space on the infield.
That one bunted, and it's bunted well. Belt throws, not in time. So it was perfectly bunted. It just rolled right up the first base line. There really was never a question that it was going to go foul. And Coco just had too much speed.
And it looked like, and we'll see on this replay, if he stays in the running path, because there's always concern, and Coco was in the path between the grass and the foul line. He did not want to run on the grass, but he is definitely in the running path, which he has to be, and clearly safe, as a quick throw by Belt to panic was not enough time. That's a great bunt, but boy, now the A's have to take advantage. Yesterday, a couple times early, runner at third, less than 2 outs, could not get the job done. Giants will give up a run here on a ground ball if they could turn 2.
Swing and a miss. Jason was trying to make it 3-0. Jason has hit a fly ball to right field and a fly ball to center field. So it all started with a hit by pitch. And Coco is going. That ball's hit toward Panic, who dives. He'll get the out at first. Run comes in to score. Coco to second, and the A's have a 1-0 lead.
It's amazing what speed will do for a team, and the A's, with their speed, not a ball out of the infield, they have a run. Coco, man, he started to take off, but Panic, a good play to get at least 1 out. He really had no chance to get Coco. Gentry able to score easily, and hit by pitch, upheld, and the A's have a run.
So Jaso gets his 27th RBI. Now Coco at second base. Cespedes is 0 for 2. First pitch, a touch outside. So it's gone hit by pitch, stolen base, bunt single, and a ground. I think that's where having a quality hitter in the ninth spot can make a big difference. And it's not that Gentry got a hit, but it's that he was able to steal a base.
The Angels, Mike Scioscia always put speed in the top. 1 and 9, always speed. So they have back-to-back speed for the middle part of the batting order.
Cespedes fouled out with runners at first and third and 1 out in the third inning. That one right there for a strike, 1-1 the count.
Keep waiting for Cespedes to connect with one. He has such great power and just missed some pitches, but you just wait, just expect something good's going to happen off his bat.
This ball outside, 2-1. Maybe 3 pitches for Vogelsong.
Yeah, maybe he's getting excited about the home run derby.
Yeah.
Right from tonight, Target Field. He may be showing. Well, it's hit in the home run derby that the building in right field and right center that kind of leans up against the right field stand.
Parking lot.
That's right.
Missed again, 3-1. So now Vogelsong starting to nibble a little bit, and that will generally get you in trouble against the Athletics. Moss in the on-deck circle. To right field. Pence going back, still going back. He's near the wall, and he makes the catch. He gets it back in quickly, and Coco stops at third. So Cespedes hit it well, and a nice play by Pence in right field.
And Pence knew immediately as soon as he caught the ball there was a possibility that Coco would attempt to do what he was thinking, that is score from second on a fly ball. And Cespedes hit it hard opposite field, and Pence able to track it down. Coco initially maybe halfway, but watch Pence get the ball and turn quickly and throw. Just get it back towards the infield because Coco was sprinting to third base, and he's making the turn to think about scoring, and then Gallego had to shut him down as Mike realized the ball was coming back in quickly from Pence.
So here's Moss. Moss hits one high in the air, foul. And into the seats.
Okay, we saw what happened in the division series last year. Some of the A's players, including Brandon Moss, admittedly that a lot of time between the final game and whenever they played the first game against the Tigers. And not surprising, he wanted to get back in the lineup as quickly as possible. Not a lot of off time. And he just missed a couple of games after spraining his left ankle. Too much time off, you lose your timing, you don't want to do it.
And that one inside in the count 1-1. Moss a strikeout and a ground out so far. Posey called for a high fastball, and that's where it was. So 1-2 the count.
That's the high target. That's the high pitch, and a successful pitch. Chavez against the Red Sox, shut him out for 7 innings. Had a no decision, but since then, not as well.
Another high fastball. This time Moss got a piece of it, fouled it straight back. See, the hoods are up. It's cooling off at the ballpark.
That might be the reason some of the balls have not traveled a little bit farther than what we expected, the way they've come off the bat. Wind blowing all over different directions.
Swing and a miss. Fastball, and Moss swung through it. So the A's get a run on hit batter, stolen base, single, and a ground out. They'll take it 1-0 after 5. All right, time for our AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to CSNCA fan photo. Put your name down and your hometown down for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It's all brought to you by AT&T. Our fan photo tonight comes from Carlos Gregory from Alameda. Looks like he's got the real deal there. Bud Selig signed it, so that means it's official.
Is that a signature or stamped?
That's a good question.
Some of the players can tell you because it's stamped, and when it's embedded in their body when they get hit by a pitch that's hard enough that leaves Commissioner Selig's imprint. That's not good. That means you've been really hit hard.
Belt, Posey, and Michael Morris here in the 6th inning. Jesse Chavez has done a good job with shutdown innings so far this year. Belt, little pop-up, shallow left center. Cespedes coming in, Lowry out, and it's going to be Donaldson instead. And the shift was on, my mistake, so Donaldson makes the play.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit athletics.com for details.
So with 1 out, Posey hits.
They're an all-star. Derek Norris is an all-star, and that play by Josh Donaldson with a shift going to the outfield and really calling off Cespedes. That's a pretty good play because it's a long run with the shift. Surprising the Belt didn't drive the ball a little bit farther considering it's a too-low fastball.
And a quick 0-2 to Buster Posey. 2 very good pitches by Jesse Chavez. Abad and Otero get up.
Jesse Chavez a cut fastball, then a 2-seam fastball on the outside. Both pitches there.
Posey a walk and a fly ball to right field. That one's lined to left, and that's a base hit, a curveball that was not where Jesse Chavez wanted it. So hit number 4 for the Giants. Each team with 4 hits.
And really with Posey in his setup, and weighted well, especially on the curveball after bouncing one outside. Left this one up a little bit more. A bit too much, as a matter of fact.
So at 95 pitches, Kurt Young trots out, and this could be a situation where you want to give those 2 guys down in the bullpen just a little bit more time.
6 of the previous 17 starts for Jesse Chavez, over 100 pitches, and I think there's a concern. There has to be, especially Jesse Chavez never been in a rotation, and there's some concern maybe from Bob Melvin, Kurt Young, and that's why very quickly the bullpen as Jesse approaches the 100-pitch mark.
Yeah, I mean, he's well over 100 innings this year. I mean, he's got what, 108?
Yeah. I remember Sonny Gray pitched in Miami with 99. They had held him back for 10 days, but 8 strikeouts got to get your pitch count up, and that's what has happened to Jesse tonight.
Swing and a miss by Michael Morris, who pulled off.
A good idea with this guy to keep everything away. He has opposite field power, as we remember in Scottsdale when Reddick robbed him of 2 directly to right field. Cat-like up over the fence to bring him back. A lot of power from him.
1-1 the count. Morris a strikeout and a single tonight. He's got 14 home runs and 46 RBIs. And he swings and misses. 1-2.
He's trying to get 15 and 48 because he has a big swing uppercut, and you can see why he hits a lot of home runs and why even to the opposite field he can hit big home runs.
And that one's hit high and foul right field. So this will be pitch number 100 for Jesse Chavez.
We saw yesterday with Samardzija when he knew he was coming out after the 7th inning and what he did that inning, striking out the side. And when you get that feeling, you just want to let it all go and not hold anything back.
And a swing and a miss. Morris strikes out. And that is 9 strikeouts for Jesse Chavez.
And he just threw it. Good fastball outside corner. He's kept the ball down perfectly tonight.
Tyler Colvin.
9 at Minnesota, Anaheim, 2nd and 3rd starts of the season.
So with 2 outs, here's Tyler Colvin, who has not looked good against Jesse Chavez. He has struck out twice, both times looking. The first pitch is hit high to right field. Gentry, he's under it. He's got it. Side retired. So a hit and a runner left, and we're going to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's the A's 1 and the Giants nothing.
Chavez, strikeout, 9 of them tonight, using all of his pitches. Got Michael Morris, how about Belt with a fastball outside corner. As far as the A's offense, Gentry hit batter, stolen base. Coco with a perfect bunt down the first base line safe. And John Jaso with a ground ball is going to bring in Gentry. Coco moves to second base, but that is the scoring as the A's hit the bottom of the 6th inning after Jesse Chavez, a lot of handshakes. And his catcher, a high five, and Jesse Chavez, I'd say with all the handshakes, he's finished for the night. And not surprised after 101 pitches, just 4 hits, 6 shutout innings for the A's right-hander.
So 101 pitches, 2 walks, and he ties a career high in strikeouts with 9. So bottom of the 6th. A 1-0 A's lead, and it's Donaldson, Vogt, and Lowry. Usually when you're 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, you're frustrated, but that is what the A's are. But they have a 1-0 lead, and the Giants just have not been able to score runs for about a month now, and A's are shutting them down.
And the hit with the runner in scoring position was a bunt by Coco, right?
That's right.
That was exactly it.
Right, yeah.
So while it was a bunt, didn't really score a run, but it was a hit with Gentry at second after the stolen base. Coco beat it out, and that was big because don't know what the Giants would have done if Gentry had been at third with 1 out.
They curve, and it's 2-2.
Vogelsong, that's a pitch that he's bringing out after a lot of good changeups, good fastballs.
2-2 pitch, and that hit Donaldson. And looks like he got him in the left hand. So the second hit batter. The last one was Gentry leading off the 5th. This is Donaldson leading off the 6th.
Well, they kick, but the ball running up and in, and Josh. And we see hitters turn away. Josh, with his approach, when he lifts his foot, his momentum's going towards the pitcher, so it's hard for him to turn away and avoid a pitch like that as it was running up and in. And we just have to hope that with the bat hold in the hand and contact made.
Oh, they're still looking at him.
His pain threshold is very high. He can.
Bob Melvin is talking to Paul Nauert in a fairly animated conversation.
You know why? He's probably going to say it was a foul ball. Because he's going to say the ball hit the bat with his hand on the bat, and he's not going to allow him to go to first.
You may be right, Ray Foster.
I'm going to look at it. He's asking and see.
So they asked Angel if it was a swing,
and he said no. He put his hands up, and maybe that's what Angel was doing before when he put his hands up, but it was not the safe sign like it was this time. Because Angel, when Gentry was hit, he put his hands with the palms up like, what? And then they took a look at it, but this time he went safe as it was not a swing.
So Bruce Bochy's kind of hot now.
Said I asked that. That's not even close to a swing. And the only thing I could think of it with the discussion, and maybe Bob Melvin was trying to convince Paul Nauert to ask Angel Hernandez if Paul Nauert said it was a swing, which clearly was not in the replay that we just showed. I thought maybe he's saying that it hit the bat or hit his hand on the bat, and it would constitute a foul ball.
I think Bruce Bochy may want to get thrown out here. I mean, he's hanging around, and he's been around a long time because he's hanging around quite a while. So it goes as a hit batter, and Donaldson's at first.
Now batting first baseman.
It's amazing. The concern was initially that Donaldson was okay. Then all this ensued with the question, and rightfully so, by Bruce Bochy. And the animated conversation Melvin had with Paul Nauert was a little surprising, but it turns out another hit batter leads off an inning.
So they didn't have a challenge. Remember, they lost that last inning. And maybe that was part of Bruce Bochy's argument. I don't have a challenge, but doesn't mean you guys can't look at it.
I think the thing that hurt Bruce Bochy is when Paul Nauert asked Angel Hernandez and he said no swing. At that point, it was kind of going to stay as it was. And it's almost like before challenges were vote, you know, that whatever the umpires called, that's how they did with it.
Well, but it could have been that they thought it hit the bat as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Two and 0 to Vogt. Vogt rolls at foul. So the A's have had their leadoff man out in 4 of the 6 innings. Gutierrez gets up. Big right-hander.
Stephen Vogt just helped out. He swung at ball 3. Pitch was down and fortunately grounded it foul. Didn't put it in play.
Vogt hits one high in the air to right center, hit fairly well, but Pence is going to get back there, and he's got it. And Donaldson back to first. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. In the meantime, down in Anaheim, the Angels scored 4 times in the 5th inning, and it's now the Angels 5, the Blue Jays 2 in the 6th inning. The Mariners are still leading the Twins 1-0 in the 7th inning behind Iwakuma. First pitch to Lowry is hit up the middle, and it's a base hit to center field. Donaldson stumbles around second base, but he's able to stay up and not go down, and he ends up at third.
Well, you like to see that because so many runners go first and third on the Athletics, and this time with the ball hit on the ground, Jed Lowry taking the high fastball away from him, pulling it up the middle, and that's good hitting once it got past the pitcher. And well, there's the stumble, and you're right, Josh Donaldson able to keep his feet as he stumbled, but instead of tumbling all the way to the ground, able to keep his feet. Crawford getting out of the way. But you know what you want to see is an infielder dive for the ball. Panic didn't dive for that. That could have kept maybe a ball from going into the outfield, but instead Donaldson able to get to third.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts.
We are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the 1989 World Series Championship team Friday, July 18th and Saturday, July 19th. We will be joined by A's legends Rickey Henderson, Dennis Eckersley, Jose Canseco, Dave Henderson, Dave Parker, Carter Nansford, Hall of Fame manager Tony La Russa, among others. There will be autograph sessions on Friday and Saturday with proceeds benefiting the Angelman Syndrome Foundation. For information and tickets, visit athletics.com/89. So Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson and Dennis Eckersley, of course, Tony La Russa will be inducted this summer into Cooperstown.
The Vogelsong done right at 100 pitches.
And he deserves a lot better than where he's sitting right now, trailing. But the A's took advantage of a mistake.
So here's Gutierrez to face Callaspo, and the first pitch is lined right center, and that's going to score 2. 1 run scores. Here comes Lowry, and it is 3-0.
This is called an ambush. Relief pitcher comes in, first pitch fastball, Callaspo all over it. Stayed inside, crushed it to right center. Great follow through with the swing, and with the ball in front of Lowry, and he knows it's going to drop, and he knows that Blanco is playing in left center, and Castro able to pull a fastball away from maybe the defense. And both Donaldson and Lowry able to score. Mike Gallego waving the arm frantically and saying, let's go. And A's able to pick up 2 with 1 swing of the bat.
So here's Gentry, and Gentry takes outside. The Vogelsong may deserve better, but he also hit 2 guys and they both score.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's just something you can't do.
And those are mistakes, and both of them with 2 strikes.
Yep.
2 strike hit by pitches, and both very similar. One challenged, upheld, the other. But a lot of times it's like a pitcher that comes off the bench. See the numbers for Gutierrez, a hard throwing right-hander with 4 different pitches plus 2 and 4 seam fastball, but 1 and 2 making the appearance out of the bullpen. But it's like a pitcher that comes off the bench. He's going to be swinging to get loose. Relief pitcher comes in. Hitter's going to be thinking he's going to throw a first pitch fastball. He does. And since then, the next 3 pitches, 2 have been sliders. But Callaspo, smart hitter, as we have seen, and comes through with a big hit to right center.
So 2-1 to Gentry, who has singled, hit by a pitch, stole a base, and scored a run. Toward Crawford. Crawford quickly to first, and Gentry's out, with Callaspo going to third.
See Donaldson on the dugout talking to Walt Horn, the assistant trainer, about how he almost stumbled. And just a few minutes earlier, Walt was looking at his left hand, wondering if he's going to have to get an X-ray. But we saw him in Seattle, remember, a couple of years ago when he went into second and rolled his ankle like Brandon Moss did. We said he's done. He popped up, stayed in the game, hasn't missed a beat. I guess that's a little bit of the football mentality, because he can handle some pain.
So here's Coco. Runner still out there at third.
Donaldson right there. It's almost like his left foot gave out from under him. Right foot grabbed his left thigh and kept running. And fortunately, he did not do a header and get tagged out. Davis, a rare position on the bench. He's usually leaning on the pad on the rail talking to the hitters.
Outside, 2-0.
Chile does a lot of preparation of scouting reports to prepare his hitters, and I don't know if he prepared for a couple of hit batters, but like you said, both have scored.
Hit batters leading off an inning.
Yeah, how about that?
You say that?
Yeah.
2-0 pitch. Bounce to Belt, who has it. Steps on the backside, retired. Big hit for Alberto Callaspo, a 2-run double. So we're headed to the late innings, and the A's now lead 3-0.
Min has no idea that's going to happen. It may have happened. There's a swing and a deep drive way back into left center field, and it's gone. Olmedo Sainz has beaten the Giants with a 3-run homer. The A's are pouring out of the dugout.
That was our true story, brought to you by McDonald's. The late great Bill King with the call. That was July 15th, 1997. And there was nobody more happy in the building than Bill King. Bill King did not like the San Francisco Giants.
Well, the interesting part about that call was that he was talking about John Jaha, and he more or less said, you know, the only way he's going to score, and you wouldn't think, more or less, paraphrasing, that it would be a home run, and there it was. But it is Fernando Abad coming into pitch, and it's turning over to the bullpen the last 3 innings after Jesse Chavez 101 pitches in 6 innings. So Abad, and of course a very strong bullpen that the A's have now, especially with Eric O'Flaherty back, pitching well. And they have a number of pitches they can use to try to get the final 9 outs, and it would be first Abad.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up, your oil change, tune-up, and brake experts. Cayaspo with the big hit. 2-run double. Blanco, Arias, and Crawford here in the 7th inning. And the first pitch, a fastball for a strike. Blanco is 0 for 2. Fly ball to center field, ground out to second base. Blanco, just another struggling Giants hitter. 9 for his last 58. 9 for 58. That's not good. One and one the count.
You're looking at numbers, and there are a lot of numbers that reading the notes about the Giants coming to the series, and it's just hard to believe that has happened, and just wonder how long it's going to last. I've seen the right foot of Fernando Abad, how it keeps moving towards third base. And it's, you know, I saw that it's something that's happened really this homestand, and I asked him, what's the right foot? I mean, he really gets to the point where he has to swing it towards first base, but as he comes to the set position, he keeps moving the right foot farther. See, it's closed there, but as he comes up, he's going to start moving towards third base. I said, what are you doing? He said, just comfortable, man, just comfortable. I said, well, if that's comfort, keep it going. Because he's been pitching very well, and pitchers make changes, and he made that one to the point of comfort. But there, and there, and there. And comes straight up and towards the hitter. Little things change, and if it's all a matter of being comfortable, then pitchers are going to do it. It's kind of a delayed setup by the time he brings his hands down the waist.
And Blanco chases, and that is strikeout number 10 for A's pitchers. Here's our Chevron pitching matchup for tomorrow. It's brought to you by Chevron Carefree Car, and it's a good one. The All-Star Madison Bumgarner looking for his 10th win against Sonny Gray, who's looking for his 9th win. So we'll look forward to that. Our coverage starts at 6:30 here on Comcast Sportsnet California with A's pregame live. So Bumgarner, Gray tomorrow. First pitch, strike called to Arias. Giants have just 4 hits. Arias has 2, couple of singles. It's very hard to figure out how a team could really be one of the higher scoring teams in the league for 2 months and then just stop scoring runs.
Yeah, it is.
That's got to make people scratch their head. And not for a week or 2. We're talking about going on 5 weeks now.
Well, what was their record? What is it, 7-18? I think we showed. I mean, to play 25 games, that's almost your full month of baseball, and to not hit and to have the best record.
And that one tapped, and Donaldson has it, and that's a 5-3 put out, 2 outs.
Well, change speeds nicely. Yeah, Brandon Hicks, former Athletic, had his first home run, a walk-off against the Rangers here at the Coliseum, and they've had a few second bases. Brandon Hicks getting the season. Of course, Morris, Tim Lincecum to his right with a no-hitter. The big man back, he's big too. Brandon Belt, so you know he's thinking going to start hitting again.
And Crawford takes a slider down and away. Here's Dan Otero getting loose. Good slider, and it's 1-1.
And I'm sure Fernando Vod thinks back to the home run he gave up to David Ortiz and a breaking ball that stayed in. Though this one, a big floater away from Crawford.
Crawford trying to bunt. And that tells me that Crawford doesn't feel too good about facing a ball.
I don't know that too many left-handers do.
That's exactly right. Donaldson staying back behind the bag. And now he cheats in a little bit. And that ball's hit into right field, a base hit. So Crawford pulls a bod, and he's got a hit. 2-out single. So that is hit number 5 for San Francisco.
Well, the fastball has got a pretty good hitter's count, so Bod. That's why Otero was loosening up, because that might be it for Bod. As Pence is coming up to hit, and Otero's going to face him.
So Otero coming in to face Pence, and we'll be back. A's leading 3-0.
You by Xfinity, home of the most live sports, and by Toyota, #1 in MPG, durability, and resale value. Toyota, let's go places.
So the matchup will be Otero and Pence with the runner at first and 2 outs. The A's with 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th. So Otero 7-1 with a 2.03 ERA. First pitch to Hunter Pence is a slider outside. That's a foul out, a strikeout, and a walk. And that one's in first round. Mariners have added a run. They lead the Twins 2-0 now in the 8th inning. Still Angels 5-2 over the Blue Jays in the bottom of the 6th.
Might not be a very good West Coast trip for the Blue Jays.
No, it's not looking like it.
Dan Otero, first pitch, cutter, slider to Pence, then brought the two-seam fastball outside corner. So like a lot of pitchers, different movement on the pitches, going away, coming in, trying to fool hitters as much as possible.
Pence taps it slowly toward Donaldson, who charges, juggles, then throws, and Vogt was able to keep his foot on the bag, and they're calling him out, and there's going to be an argument.
That's all they can do, though. It seems as argue, though.
So Angel Hernandez in the middle of it again.
Donaldson did not have a very good grip. He stumbled, and ball came up to him. And Angel Hernandez had a pretty good look at it. His foot's on the bag, and
it looked like it from that angle.
Yeah, and you know, it happens so quickly.
Yep.
No, he's all over it. And now Bob Melvin's asking, he said, wait a minute, you don't have challenge, so it has to be an umpire's challenge because they lost their challenge. And
I don't think any of it's going to matter.
No,
because he's out.
Play under review is presented by Samsung.
So I don't think there's a whole lot to worry about. Hernandez got it right.
It's a crew chief review. It has to be, and I guess they say let's try to get it right. But you know what happens, guy? And we see it often that when it happens, bang, bang, the guy's on the ground. But once you do look at it, he's out. I mean, it did not take long, and Stephen Vogt made a great play.
So he was indeed out. Nice play by Stephen Vogt, and the Giants do not score. 7th inning stretch coming up.
Has been confirmed.
More great pitching from the A's tonight, leading 3-0 over the Giants. Bottom of the 7th inning. Jaso, Cespedes, and Moss against Juan Gutierrez on in relief of Vogelsong, who gave up 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Jaso 0 for 3, but his ground out in the 5th inning knocked in the first run of the game. So he picked up his 27th RBI.
like Stephen Vogt makes a great play at first base. He's going to get to go catch. That's his reward. Put the catching gear on. Otherwise, he may be going to the bullpen and maybe making a defensive placement at first base. How would that be? Makes a great play to keep his foot on the bag and they take him out. We shall see as Luke Gregerson is loosening up for the 8th inning.
Gutierrez lets it go under his glove. Crawford's play, and it's going to roll all the way to the sidewalk. And Jaso is going to round second and hold there. So Crawford really did not have a play, and I think the missed play on this play was by the pitcher.
Yeah.
He should have caught it. It really was not that difficult of a play.
And it was a check swing, and as Gutierrez came off, but the other guys play. Keep the double play in order if Crawford doesn't slide and try to make the spectacular play. And well, you could say it was better make close, might have gotten him, but the result usually is going to be exactly what happened. Quick throw. You can't get a lot on it with any accuracy, and it ends up a single and an E6 on a check swing.
You know what? You know what I say to that? Welcome to the green and gold. Check swing, single, E6, and you're standing on second base. And it was a check swing back to the pitcher. So Cespedes looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 3. Cespedes with a shot foul. Heads up down in the A's bullpen.
I don't think that was a swing to try to hit at the right side to advance a runner.
So.
I think that was, I got a pretty good pitch to hit. I'm going to try to rope it, rip it past the third baseman. Almost did.
Cespedes would love to get going this week. 1 for his last 19. Pitch hit hard to Crawford. What a play. He's going to throw to third. He throws it away. Wow. Bounces off the sidewall, and the runner Jaso is going to stay at second, or stay at third, but Cespedes is going to end up at second. And a terrific play by Crawford, and then he threw it away. How do you figure?
Well, sometimes you have to say, go ahead and take third. I just made a great play to save a base hit. I'm going to get the runner at first. And again, throwing off balance. And may have fooled Arias, too, because Arias kind of floating to the bag as Crawford came up with it quickly. And if Arias is at the bag, he might be able to make an adjustment, at least knock the ball down. Well, what a play by Crawford coming up with it, and saw Jaso running in front of him and had him plenty if he makes a good throw.
So fielder's choice E6.
Okay, good job. Gutierrez covering the plate and Posey backing up so Jaso could not score.
So now second and third. Nobody out, and the ball has not been hit out of the infield, although that was a smash by Cespedes.
And remember, the A's back in the 5th scored in a row without getting the ball out of the infield either. Hit, batter, bunt, ground out, and that's it. So it's a small ball at its best tonight.
0-1 to Moss. And Moss lifts one in the air right center. And it's going to be Blanco who gets back there. Both runners are going to tag up. Both runners are going to advance. It's a sacrifice fly for Moss. And mistakes by the opposition. And the A's take advantage. 4-0.
And Moss brought his hands in perfectly. And probably rare for a great shortstop like Crawford to have 2 errors in the same inning. But that is what has occurred. And bullpen activity again quickly.
So Moss gets his 63rd RBI. Still only 1 out, and now a runner at third. So the A's can get another one. 2 errors in the inning by the Giant shortstop. Slider down the right.
With the exception of the 3rd inning when the A's had a runner at third and less than 2 outs, the A's since then in similar situations have been successful. This is the 4th time with a runner at third and less than 2 outs.
Not close, 2-0. Vogt to follow. Hey, where'd you get that jersey? I want to know. I want that All-Star jersey.
It had some nice caps for the All-Star game from both American and National League.
3-0 to Donaldson.
Got 1-2. Javier Lopez probably getting loose for Stephen Vogt if that is the case. He was losing in the bullpen.
There's a shot on 3-0, base hit left center field. Cespedes trots home, 5-0. The A's lead. So Donaldson decided to take a rip on 3-0. Why not? He gets the RBI. So Gutierrez is done. Lopez coming in, and the A's have scored twice here in the 7th.
Dress up as their favorite superheroes, and music from iconic superhero shows and movies will accompany the post-game fireworks show. Fans can watch the show from the outfield grass, but as always, on-field capacity is limited. Get your tickets today at athletics.com/fireworks.
So a couple of errors in the inning by Crawford have helped the A's score twice. And here's Vogt to face Lopez. Lopez, kind of the ultimate left-handed specialist. He's tough on left-handed hitters. Doesn't take too much to figure out why when you see him throw a pitch.
Anybody that throws from second base makes it tough on a lefty. Whatever Stephen Vogt was asked to do, made a great play at first inning. He had his shin guards on, now he's hitting. So against a tough lefty. You have to think he's going to stay in the game someplace. He has played a lot of first base. He's played some outfield. He's been a catcher. Whereas in the past, in games, certain games, he might be taken out for defense latter part of the game. He does now have a 5-run lead. Maybe that will not be the case.
The Vogt gets caught looking as Lopez painted one. So 2 outs here in the 7th inning. 2 runs in. And Lowry will hit. Lowry's got a couple of hits tonight. 2 singles. Scored a run. So he's starting to see that average head back in the right direction. That's hit hard, but right to Panic, who throws to first. Side retired. The A's get 2 in the bottom of the 7th, so we're headed to the 8th. 5-0 the A's lead. The winner will be revealed during A's post-game live. Follow the action on the diamond like never before with Enhance, Bloomberg stats, and much, much more. A's in-game live on CSNCalifornia.com. Log on now and vote. 5-0 the A's lead. Caspo had a big hit, a 2-run double. Changes for the A's. Fryman comes in at first. And as expected, Stephen Vogt heads back behind the plate. So Vogt goes from first to catcher.
All these versatile catchers, they're just all over the place. But it does make it nice about Melvin can make some changes if necessary. And shows you how much Nate Fryman has improved his defense at first base that he has brought in. And John Jaso is finished for the night.
So 1 and 2 to Panic will be followed by Belt and Posey.
See that Derek Norris is in the bullpen. Casey Chavez. John Jaso in the past, catchers, if they came out of the game, go straight down the bullpen. Take the shin guards with them. But since Derek Norris, one of the new all-stars.
Fastball flips in time. So Panic is 0 for 4, and here's our lows never stop improving. Sean Doolittle last year and this year. He pitched in 70 games last year. His numbers were very good last year, and His tick better this year, and now, of course, he's the closer. That's the biggest difference. And he's an all-star as well. Well-deserved lead. 2 walks, 61 strikeouts.
A first baseman up until a couple of years ago. And here he's an all-star as a power pitcher out of the bullpen.
Well, that was kind of the joke. One of the guys said, hey, we got a player from Cuba. We got Brandon Moss, who was let go by how many different teams, right? We got Doolittle, who was a first baseman 3 years ago. You got Scott Kazmir, who was pitching for the Skeeters a couple years ago.
Josh Donaldson was a catcher.
Josh Donaldson was a catcher with the Cubs.
And Derek Norris is platoon catcher.
Yeah, pretty funny.
And Jeff Shamarza comes over from the National League with a 2.7 sub-3 earned run average. He makes the team as a National League All-Star, and he's in American League uniform. Well, there's some great stories, and you're right about Scott Kazmir. Independent baseball. The 10-game winner.
Help pops a foul back.
I think everybody we talk to say one thing about Scott Kazmir. What a difference. He used to be a hard-throwing fastball. Few walks, about almost a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 10 wins, 253 earned run average. His home numbers are off the chart. What he's done here at the Coliseum. 3-time All-Star and twice with the Rays and now with the A's. And you saw that list as we showed at the beginning with 5 of the 6 first-time All-Stars. And they are all happy.
2-2 pitch is foul back. But Kazmir's pitching Thursday, the day game in San Francisco, so that'll be his last start before the All-Star break. So he'll have a nice break, unless he gets a chance to pitch in the All-Star game, which is possible. But even if he does, he'll have a normal 4 days rest if he were to pitch on Tuesday. Belt rolls it to Lowry, and that's another easy out. Pretty cool picture here, all the All-Stars together.
I guess they decided to make Jeff Samardzija wear anything but a white jersey. Everybody put on the nice clean white uniforms, and Jeff's in his green windbreaker. That's all right though. He's happy to be here and pitched like it yesterday.
First pitch to Posey in for a strike. See Samardzija on Friday night in Seattle. Just a touch outside. Posey with a walk, a flyout, and a single. Hanger, and he missed it.
It did hang on the inside part of the plate, and there for the hitting. And Posey tried to make it at least a run on the board for the Giants, but got under and missed it.
Shoots that one foul into the seats.
And the strange part about Dan Otero pitching in this game against the Giants, he was a member of the Giants last spring, a year ago. Across the country to the Yankees, back to the A's, minor league, saved about 15 games at AAA, big leagues, and probably will never go back to the minor leagues.
Breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Fewest in the majors as far as pitches per inning. Get it, throw strikes, and you'll probably have success.
And a ground ball pitcher, you're going to have success doing that.
Posey rips one toward left. Cespedes is going to make the catch right on the warning track, and that's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Dan Otero. 5-0. The A's lead going to the bottom of the 8th. Here's our game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 0-5-2 for the Giants, 5-8-0 for the A's. It was a 0-0 game to the bottom of the 5th, and then the A's have scored all their runs since then. And Jesse Chavez, 6 shutout innings. And it's up to the bullpen, and that's usually a good thing. So far, so good. Game 1 of this 4-game series. 2 home, 2 on the road. Sellout crowd tonight, the 9th sellout of the year for the Athletics, 36,067. And a new pitcher. Yusmeiro Petit, who is the long man for San Francisco, so he's going to get an inning of work as he faces Callaspo, Gentry, and Crisp. It's a final in Seattle where the Mariners beat the Twins 2-0. They got a home run from Zunino, a home run from Saunders, and that's all they needed. Petit appearing in his 24th game. He has started a handful of games for the Giants. But Iwakuma got the win. He had 10 strikeouts in 7 innings. He's now 7-4. So the Mariners, after losing 2 out of 3 in Chicago, they come home and they get a win. So if Iwakuma, obviously, if he pitched tonight, he's probably going to pitch on Saturday. So we do not know that for sure, but it looks like Hernandez and Iwakuma, the first 2 games of those series, or that series for Seattle.
Yeah, well, you think that Thursday is the time somebody's going to have to come up from AAA to make the start. Since Felix was supposed to pitch Thursday, he's going to go Friday. So you're right about Iwakuma. With Chris Young,
he's been great.
He's been outstanding. And I think as he pitching tomorrow and should be pitching Sunday, but I think to backing everybody up a little bit.
And Callaspo drops one in. Callaspo 2 for 4.
Good to see the left-hand hitting stroke from Callaspo coming around. It's going to be a pinch runner. As he serves the ball out to left field, Sogard's going to pinch run for him. Callaspo has been pulling off some of the pitches hitting from the left side and kind of lofting them into the air. So he had a big double to right center driving in 2, and now Sogard comes in to pinch run after an opposite field hit.
So that'll bring up Gentry. Gentry takes a fastball for a strike. Single, hit by pitch, and a ground out for Gentry. He has scored a run. He has stolen a base. So he's done a good job out of that 9th spot, getting on base a couple of times. In for a strike, and it's a quick 0-2 to Gentry. Ryan Cook starts to throw.
Every manager wants to get good pitching and good defense and hope they can get enough runs to score. And tonight, Bruce Bochy has seen.
Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw to second is not in time. Stolen base for Sogard. Gentry with a strikeout. Here we got in-depth sports news for the Bay Area fan. Know it all with Sportsnet Central. It's brought to you by Hyundai, and it's tonight at 10:30, and it's on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. We'll have all the clubhouse reaction. This ball game tonight here at the Coliseum, including Joe Stiglish post-game notes and Shooty Babbitt analysis. So that's all coming up tonight at 10:30, Sportsnet Central.
Saying about pitching and defense, last inning. It's going to be a different game. 2 unearned runs scored. And from a 3-0, 5-0 lead. And if you're not scoring a lot of runs, 2 unearned runs doesn't help your club. That's what's happened. A's taking advantage of mistakes. And Bruce Bochy, unfortunately, has to look at a couple of runs on the board that maybe shouldn't have been there.
1-0 to Coco Crisp. A couple of walks, a single, and a ground out. Coco drives one towards center. Blanco backs up and now squares it up, and he makes the catch. So 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Astros beat the Rangers in Arlington tonight 12-7.
Now batting.
So that snaps the Astros 7-game losing streak. And Ray, the Texas Rangers have lost 16 out of their last 19.
How many are they behind the A's now?
Right now they are 17.5 games back.
They've got a chance to be 20 out by the All-Star break. If the A's continue to play well, then Ron Washington, of course, every game trying to pull something positive out of a ball club that's been decimated by injuries. But well, now unfortunate for the Rangers having as many injuries and where they are in the division, they have to be thinking about how close they were to winning World Series.
No question.
To be so close.
You go twice. Yeah. You probably should have won one of them.
Well, the Giants, it just really no match for them. The Giants are going to win, but against the Cardinals, they were a strike away. And
twice.
Then 3 outs away the next time, the next half inning, and could not make it happen. And then you start going the other direction. It's when it hurts the most. Just like Cleveland 2007, Cleveland in 97, they had not won since 48, and they come so close, they don't win, and now they're trying to get back. And it's so hard these days to get to postseason and then have to win the division, league, and World Series. It's a lot of games to win to be champions.
It's almost like you, not to be over dramatic, but it's almost like your prize is right there and you had your hand on it momentarily, and now it's way away.
That's right, floating away.
That's got to be a tough feeling.
Yeah. When you have 30 teams vying for one world championship and have it that close, and then it's gone, and trying to get it back, it's hard to do.
Good pitch there. Fryman takes it. Strike 3 called. So a runner left, and we're on to the 9th. The A's 3 outs away from shutting out the Giants.
Maybe his last start, a couple of hits, 3 hits, matter of fact, with the runner in scoring position, 2 outs tonight. Was not the case. Got the big out in the 3rd inning, and then turn it over to the strikeout pitch was outstanding. He had everything working. Fastball to the outside corner. He threw some curveballs, changeups, cut fastballs, freezing hitters, curveball in the dirt for swing and miss. Jesse Chavez finishes with 9 strikeouts, tying his season high, 3rd time. And high five and John Jaso as catcher, of course, always working good together, and slight smile from the skipper and Kurt Young as Oakland leading 5-0 in the bottom or top of the 9th inning. Don't see that very often.
First pitch to Michael Morse is fouled straight back. There's 5 hits for the Giants, all singles. Cook takes over for appearance number 26. And Sogard stays in the game at second base. Fastball just a bit high. A's pitchers have 10 strikeouts tonight, and they've walked 2.
Yeah, but Jesse Chavez, we mentioned about the 7-inning shutout baseball against the Red Sox. That was before the A's went on the trip, and especially his last outing in Detroit and also in Miami. So great comeback for Jesse tonight. 6 shutout innings, turning over the bullpen with Abad, Terrell, and Cook trying to finish it off. So went upstairs. He's back just in case they need somebody in the bullpen to warm up some pitchers.
That one's flipped into center field. But Coke goes there. He's got it. And Morris 1 for 4 as he heads back to the dugout. That'll bring up Tyler Colvin.
Now batting, number 10, Tyler Colvin.
So Colvin has struck out twice tonight. And the first pitch is a fastball outside. Colvin also hit a fly ball to right field in the 6th inning. And 2-0. Good one tomorrow night. Bumgarner, an all-star against Sonny Gray. Game 2 of this series. We'll be right here at the Coliseum. And we'll be right here in Comcast Sportsnet, California. So that'll be a fun matchup. Hit hard, but right to Lowry. 2 outs.
Well, you have to figure with Bumgarner already an all-star. Sonny Gray has got a few all-star appearances in the future for him. 8-game winner. Picked up a win against the Blue Jays to start this series, or this homestand. Remember, the A's struggled in Detroit, were swept by the Tigers. Final stop on the last road trip. Started the month of July, and not such a positive note, but had come home. 4 against the Blue Jays, a sweep of the Jays, and trying to do the same. He's charged tonight.
And this is going to be caught by Sogard, and that's a shutout, folks, in game 1 of the Bay Bridge series. The A's get their 9th shutout of the year, and they quietly put down the struggling San Francisco Giants tonight. Final score in game 1 of the series, it's the Oakland A's 5. It's the San Francisco Giants nothing. Jesse Chavez gets his 7th win of the year. Ryan Vogelsong takes the loss. He is now 5-6. So more great pitching from the Athletics. 5-0 is your final. You've been watching A's baseball on Comcast Sportsnet California. Don't go away. A's postgame live with Brody Brazil and Shooty Babbitt starts right now.